For 3 years, Zara Obi was the world's most successful art thief. 52 heists across 4 continents, never caught, never even suspected. Then she broke into the Seoul penthouse of billionaire Kwon Tae-min to steal a Joseon dynasty scroll worth $8 million. And found photographs of herself covering every wall of his vault. He'd been watching her, tracking her, documenting every heist for 3 years. He had sketches of her face, clothes she'd lost, timelines of her movements. He'd built an entire room dedicated to his obsession with her. And when she tried to escape, he smiled and said, "I've been waiting for you to make this mistake. Welcome to your new home." 1 year trapped in his penthouse as his curator, or 15 years in a Korean prison. She chose the penthouse. But when she found his older journal, the one proving his obsession started 5 years ago, not 3, she discovered something worse, an entry about Lagos. A heist she doesn't remember. A night that changed everything. And the line that made her blood run cold. She doesn't remember me. But I remember. And I'm going to use her secret to make her mine. What happened in Lagos 5 years ago? Why doesn't she remember? And what does this billionaire know about her past that she doesn't know about herself? Stay till the end for the revelation that changes everything. Welcome to Afro-K Dark Diaries TV besties. Drop a comment if you've ever discovered someone's been watching you. Because this obsession goes deeper than stalking. This is about a secret so dangerous, he trapped her to keep it. This is the debt collector's obsession. Comment Lagos if you need answers now. Like if you're terrified. Subscribe because this story will destroy you. Let's go. Zara's hands didn't shake as she disabled the final sensor on Kwon Tae-min's private vault. 3 years. 52 successful heists. Museums, private collections, galleries across 4 continents. She was a ghost. In and out. Never caught. Never even suspected. Tonight would be number 53. The vault door swung open silently. Zara stepped inside, her heart beating steady and slow. This was the easy part. The hard part was getting out of Seoul with a stolen Joseon dynasty scroll worth $8 million. But she'd done harder. The vault was smaller than she expected. Just one room, climate-controlled, soft lighting illuminating the pieces arranged on pedestals like a private museum. Her eyes scanned quickly, cataloging. Ming vase, probably authentic. Chagall painting, early period. Bronze Buddha, Goryeo dynasty. And there, on the far wall, the scroll she'd been hired to steal. Perfect. Zara moved toward it, her steps silent on the polished floor. She was reaching for the scroll when she saw it. A photograph. On the pedestal beside the scroll. Of her. Zara froze. It was her. Definitely her. Taken from a distance, maybe telephoto lens, but unmistakably her face. She was in Paris, judging by the background. The Louvre specifically. From 2 years ago when she'd stolen that Monet. Her heart started beating faster. She looked around the vault with new eyes. Another photograph. Her again. This time in Dubai, outside the Al Rashid private collection. 18 months ago. Another. Her in New York, walking into the Metropolitan Museum. 1 year ago. Another. 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 There were 12 photographs of her scattered throughout the vault. All from different heists. All taken without her knowledge. Someone had been watching her. Beautiful, aren't they? Zara spun around. A man stood in the vault doorway. Tall, lean, expensive suit despite the late hour. Dark hair, sharp features, eyes that studied her with the same intensity as someone examining a painting. Kwon Tae-min. The owner. The collector. The man who'd been watching her. The photographs, he continued, stepping into the vault. I took most of them myself. Though I hired professionals for the ones in locations I couldn't travel to personally. Zara's hand moved toward the knife strapped to her thigh, but he held up one finger. Don't. There are 6 guards outside this vault. You're exceptionally skilled, Miss Obi, but you can't fight your way out of this building. He knew her name. How long have you been watching me? Her voice came out steady despite her racing pulse. 3 years. Since Prague. You stole a Klimt from the Dvorak collection. He moved closer, circling her slowly like he was examining a sculpture. You were magnificent. The way you moved, the precision, the artistry of the theft itself. I've been collecting you ever since. Collecting me? Every heist. Every appearance. Every trace of you I could find. He stopped in front of her, close enough that she could smell his cologne, expensive, subtle, dark. I have a room dedicated to you. Would you like to see it? This was wrong. All wrong. Zara had been caught before, well, almost caught, but never like this. Never by someone who'd been waiting for her. You're insane, she said. Perhaps. He smiled, and it was beautiful and terrifying. Or perhaps I'm the only person who truly appreciates your art. Because that's what it is, isn't it? Art. The way you move, the way you plan, the way you disappear. You're as much an artist as any painter or sculptor. I'm a thief. You're both. He gestured at the vault around them. I collect beautiful things, Miss Obi. And you are the most beautiful thing I've ever wanted to possess. The word possess made her skin prickle with something that wasn't entirely fear. What do you want? She asked. I want to make you an offer. I'm listening. I won't call the police. I won't report this theft attempt. I won't have you arrested, deported, or imprisoned. He paused. On one condition. What condition? Work for me. 1 year. As my personal curator. You'll live here in this penthouse. You'll catalog my collection, authenticate pieces, advise on acquisitions. You'll be paid handsomely. And at the end of 1 year, you'll be free to leave with a clean record. Zara stared at him. You want me to work for you? I want you to stay. Why? His eyes, dark, intense, slightly unnerving, held hers. Because I've been watching you for 3 years, and now I want you close enough to touch. The way he said touch made heat flash through her body. This was a trap. Obviously a trap. A billionaire who'd been stalking her for 3 years didn't just want her to catalog his art collection. But the alternative was prison. Deportation. The end of her career. Everything she'd built gone. If I refuse, she asked. Then I call the police. You're arrested. Seoul police are very thorough. They'll connect you to at least a dozen unsolved thefts. You'll spend the next 15 years in a Korean prison. He tilted his head. Or you could spend 1 year in a penthouse in Gangnam. Your choice. Not really a choice. 1 year, Zara said slowly. 1 year. And then I'm free. Completely free. Clean record. Glowing reference if you want one. What makes you think I won't just run? Because I know you, Zara Obi. He stepped closer, and she could feel the heat radiating from his body. You don't run from challenges. You study them. Solve them. Conquer them. And I am definitely a challenge. He was standing so close now that if she swayed forward just an inch, they'd be touching. Do we have a deal? He asked softly. Zara's mind raced. This was wrong. Dangerous. Possibly the stupidest decision she'd ever made. But something about the way he looked at her, like she was priceless, rare, wanted, made her heart beat faster. 1 year, she said. Then I walk away. 1 year, he agreed. He extended his hand. Zara took it. His skin was warm, his grip firm but not crushing. The handshake lasted a second too long, both of them holding on, eyes locked. Welcome to your new home, Miss Obi, he said. Let me show you to your room. Zara's room was actually a suite larger than most apartments. King bed with Egyptian cotton sheets. Walk-in closet already filled with clothes in her exact size. Bathroom with a tub big enough for 3 people. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. And cameras. She spotted 3 immediately. 1 in the bedroom corner, 1 in the bathroom, 1 in the closet. He was watching her. The cameras, Kwon Tae-min said from the doorway, following her gaze, are for security. This building houses a collection worth $500 million. But if they make you uncomfortable, I can have them removed from your private spaces. Leave them, Zara said, turning to face him. I have nothing to hide from you. You've been watching me for 3 years anyway. Something flickered in his expression. Surprise? Arousal? Breakfast is at 7, he said. I'll introduce you to the staff. We'll begin your orientation tomorrow afternoon. Orientation? I need to show you the collection. All of it, including the pieces in storage. He paused. And I need to show you the other room. What other room? The one dedicated to you. He left before she could respond. Zara stood alone in her new prison, heart racing. She moved to the window, looking out at Seoul. The city glittered below, thousands of lights, millions of people. And she was trapped in a tower with a man who'd been obsessed with her for 3 years. She should be terrified. Instead, she was curious. What exactly was in that room? Zara didn't sleep that night. She explored her suite, looking for exits, weapons, anything useful. Found nothing. The windows didn't open. The door locked from the outside. There was a phone, but when she picked it up, it only connected to internal lines. She was truly trapped. At 6:45 a.m., she showered and dressed in the clothes from the closet. Designer everything. All in her size. All in colors she actually wore. He'd studied her that carefully. At exactly 7 a.m., there was a knock on her door. It swung open before she could answer. A middle-aged woman in a crisp uniform entered with a breakfast tray. Good morning, Miss Obi. I'm Mrs. Choi, the housekeeper. Mr. Kwon asks that you join him in the dining room after you've eaten. I can eat in the dining room. Mr. Kwon prefers you eat here first. He says you're not a morning person, and you'll be more pleasant after coffee. How did he know that? Mrs. Choi set down the tray and left without another word. The breakfast was perfect. French press coffee exactly how she liked it. Strong, no sugar, splash of cream. Eggs cooked the way she preferred. Toast with the specific honey she always bought when she could find it. He knew everything about her. The realization should have terrified her. Instead, it made her feel something she couldn't quite name. Seen. She was seen in a way she'd never been seen before. After breakfast, Zara made her way through the penthouse. It was massive, easily 5,000 square feet. Modern design, lots of glass and steel, but warm somehow. Art everywhere. Not just paintings, but sculptures, ceramics, textiles, photographs. She found the dining room. Kwon Tae-min sat at the head of a long table, reading something on a tablet. He looked up when she entered. Good morning. Did you sleep well? No. Honestly. I appreciate that. He set down the tablet. Most people would lie. Pretend everything is fine when they're clearly unsettled. You're refreshingly direct. Why waste energy on lies? Exactly. He stood. Come. Let me show you your workspace. He led her through the penthouse to a room she hadn't found yet. When he opened the door, Zara's breath caught. It was a professional gallery space. Climate-controlled, perfect lighting, equipment for examining and restoring art. A workstation with a computer, magnification tools, authentication equipment. Shelves of reference books. Everything a professional curator would need. This is impressive, she admitted. I want you to have the best tools. He moved to the computer, waking it up. Your credentials are already loaded. You have access to every database, every auction house, every authentication service. The password is your mother's maiden name. Zara went cold. How do you know my mother's maiden name? I know everything about you, Zara. He said her first name like a caress. Your mother, Adora Okafor, died when you were 8. Your father, David Obi, raised you and your 2 brothers alone. You grew up in Enugu. You were accepted to university in London to study art history, but couldn't afford to go. That's when you started stealing. Stop. Why? Does it bother you that I know you? It bothers me that you've been stalking me. I prefer studying you intensely. He moved closer. There's a difference between stalking and fascination. There really isn't. Isn't there? He was close now, close enough that she could smell that cologne again, could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. Stalking is about control. Fascination is about appreciation. I don't want to control you, Zara. I want to know you. You already know too much. I know facts. Dates. Places. What you steal and how you steal it. His voice dropped lower. I don't know what you sound like when you laugh. I don't know what makes you angry or sad or afraid. I don't know what you taste like. Heat flooded through her body. That's inappropriate, she said, but her voice was breathless. You're right. I apologize. He stepped back, putting distance between them. Let me show you the rest of the collection. He walked out of the room. Zara stood frozen, her heart hammering, her skin flushed with heat. What you taste like? Oh, she was in trouble. The tour of the main collection took 3 hours. Kwon Tae-min was knowledgeable, passionate, and surprisingly respectful of her opinions. When she questioned the authenticity of a supposed Qing dynasty vase, he listened carefully and agreed to have it re-examined. You have a good eye, he said as they finished the tour. I've been stealing art for years. You learned to spot fakes. You've never stolen a fake. Not once in 52 heists. How do you do it? Research. Patience. I spend months studying a piece before I take it. I know its history, its provenance, every detail. By the time I steal it, I probably know it better than the owner. Fascinating. He looked at her with that intense focus again. You're not just a thief. You're a scholar. I'm whatever pays the bills. No. You're an artist who got pushed into crime by circumstance. There's a difference. He checked his watch. It's nearly noon. Are you ready to see the other room? Zara's pulse quickened. The obsession room? I prefer to think of it as the Zara Obi collection, but yes. He led her down a hallway she hadn't explored yet. At the end was a door with a biometric lock. He pressed his thumb to the scanner. The door opened. The room beyond was smaller than the main gallery, but just as carefully arranged. And it was entirely dedicated to her. Zara stepped inside, her mouth dry. The photographs she'd seen in the vault were here, along with dozens more. Zara in Prague. Zara in Paris. Zara in Dubai, New York, Singapore, Barcelona. Candid shots taken from a distance. her moving through crowds, examining targets, disappearing into shadows. 3 years of surveillance. But it wasn't just photographs. There were sketches. Charcoal drawings of her face from different angles. Beautifully done, artist quality. All of them signed with Tamin's name. "You drew these?" she asked. "I draw to remember details. Photography captures moments, but drawing captures essence." There were news articles about unsolved thefts, each one marked with her MO. Timelines tracking her movements. A map with pins showing every heist she'd ever pulled. And then she saw the clothes. An entire section of the room was dedicated to clothing she'd worn. Not replicas. The actual garments. She recognized a jacket she'd lost in Prague. A scarf she'd left behind in Paris. A pair of gloves she thought she'd misplaced in New York. He'd been collecting pieces of her. "This is insane," Zara breathed. "Is it? I collect art." "You are art." He moved to stand beside her, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. "Every theft you pulled was a performance. The way you moved, the way you planned, the elegance of execution. I watched you steal a Monet from the Louvre, and it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. That's not normal. I've never claimed to be normal. I'm a man who knows what he wants and pursues it relentlessly." He turned to face her. "I wanted you, Zara. For 3 years I wanted you. And now you're here. Because you trapped me. Because you made a mistake. You came after MY collection. After 3 years of stealing from everyone else, you finally came to me." He smiled. "I've been waiting for you to make that mistake." Zara's mind spun. "You wanted me to try to steal from you. I made it easy. Let word slip about the Josian scroll. Made sure your contact heard about it. Left vulnerabilities in my security system that someone with your skills would notice." He stepped closer. "I've been setting this trap for 6 months, Zara. And you walked right into it. You manipulated me. I gave you an opportunity one knew you couldn't resist. And now you're here in my home for the next year." His hand came up slowly, giving her time to move away, and brushed a strand of hair from her face. "Exactly where I've wanted you for 3 years." His touch was gentle but possessive. His fingers lingered against her cheek. Zara should have pulled away. Should have been furious. Should have been terrified. Instead, her body responded with a heat that spread from where his fingers touched her skin down through her chest, her belly lower. "Don't touch me," she said, but it came out weak. "Tell me you mean that." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "Look me in the eyes and tell me you don't feel this too." She couldn't. Because she did feel it. This electric pull between them. This wrong, dangerous, impossible attraction. "This is fucked up," she whispered. "I know." His thumb moved to trace her lower lip. "Does that make you want to stop?" "Yes." "Liar." He dropped his hand and stepped back, breaking the spell. "I'll leave you to explore the room," he said, his voice casual as if he hadn't just set her entire body on fire with one touch. "Dinner is at 7. Dress code is whatever makes you comfortable." He left her alone in a room dedicated to his 3-year obsession with her. Zara's legs felt weak. She sat down on a bench, staring at the walls covered with images of herself. This was wrong. This was dangerous. This man was clearly unhinged. But when he'd touched her face, when his thumb had traced her lip, her body had responded with want so intense it scared her. She was trapped in a penthouse with a man obsessed with her. And the worst part, she was starting to understand the obsession. That afternoon, Zara did what she did best. She investigated. While Tamin was occupied with business calls, she explored the penthouse systematically. Looking for exits. Weaknesses. Ways out. She found none. Every window was reinforced glass that wouldn't break. Every door required biometric access. The elevator needed a keycard she didn't have. Even the emergency stairwell was locked. She was thoroughly trapped. Around 5 p.m., Mrs. Choi appeared with tea and news. "Mr. Kwon has a business dinner tonight. He'll be leaving at 6:30. He asks if you'd like to join him, or if you prefer to dine alone." A test. Was she comfortable being seen with him in public? Or would she hide? "I'll dine alone tonight," Zara said. Mrs. Choi nodded, unsurprised. "Dinner will be served in your room at 7. After she left, Zara opened the laptop in her gallery workspace. Her credentials worked exactly as Tamin had said. She had access to everything. She searched his name. Kwon Tae-min, age 35, billionaire tech entrepreneur. Founded a security software company at 23, sold it for $800 million at 27. Now ran an investment firm specializing in Asian tech startups. Net worth estimated at $2.3 billion. Never married. No public relationships. Intensely private. known in art collecting circles as a serious buyer with impeccable taste. No criminal record. No scandals. Nothing that suggested he was the type of man who'd stalk a thief for 3 years and trap her in his penthouse. But the obsession room proved otherwise. She searched deeper, hacking into systems she probably shouldn't access. Found his personal calendar. Business meetings, art auctions, private viewings. And then she saw it. 3 weeks from now he had an appointment marked. Prague Dvorak estate. The place where he'd first seen her steal. He was going back. Why? At 6:30, Zara heard the elevator doors open and close. Tamin was leaving for his dinner. She had the penthouse to herself. Well, not entirely herself. She'd counted at least 6 staff members. Mrs. Choi, 2 housekeepers, a cook, and 2 security guards who rotated shifts. But they were all downstairs. And she now had access to the gallery workspace and its equipment. Zara moved quickly. She'd noticed something earlier, a locked drawer in the workstation desk. Tamin had every piece of authentication equipment imaginable, but that one drawer was locked. She picked the lock in 30 seconds. Inside was a journal. Handwritten. In Korean. Zara spoke conversational Korean after years working in Seoul's underground, but reading handwritten Korean was harder. She photographed several pages with her phone and ran them through a translation app. The entries were dated. The first was from 3 years ago. I saw her today. The woman who stole the Klimt. I was in Prague meeting with Dvorak's estate manager when I saw her leaving the property. She moved like water, like smoke. Untouchable. I followed her to a cafe. Watched her sit alone, drinking coffee, looking at her phone. She didn't know I existed. I felt invisible. It was intoxicating. Zara's heart raced. She scrolled to the next entry. I hired investigators to find out who she is. Zara Obi, 26, Nigerian, based in London but travels constantly. No fixed address. No close relationships. She's a ghost. I've never wanted anything as much as I want to know her. Another entry. I attended the auction where the Monet resurfaced. The one she stole from the Louvre. Watching it be sold, knowing her hands touched it, knowing she outsmarted every security system the Louvre has. I've never been so aroused by art before. Or by a woman I've never spoken to. Zara felt heat flooding through her. These weren't just observations. These were confessions. Raw. Obsessive. Sexual. She kept reading, unable to stop. I'm planning the trap. It has to be perfect. Something she can't resist. Something that will bring her to me. I'm going to have her in my home, and then I'm going to learn everything about her that I can't learn from photographs and surveillance. I'm going to know what she sounds like when she laughs. What she looks like when she's angry. What she tastes like when I finally... The entry stopped. Zara's hands were shaking. These weren't the writings of a man with a casual interest. These were the writings of a man consumed. And she was now living with him. The elevator dinged. Zara shoved the journal back in the drawer, locked it, and rushed back to her room. She made it just as she heard footsteps in the hallway. A knock on her door. Miss Obi? Your dinner. Mrs. Choi, not Tamin. Zara exhaled shakily and opened the door. But as she ate dinner alone in her room, all she could think about were those journal entries. I'm going to know what she tastes like when I finally... Finally what? 3 days passed in a strange routine. Mornings, Zara worked in the gallery, cataloging and authenticating pieces from Tamin's collection. The work was actually interesting. He owned some incredible art, and much of it needed proper documentation. Afternoons, Tamin would appear and they'd discuss the collection. His knowledge was impressive, his questions insightful. They'd debate authentication methods, discuss provenance, argue about value versus artistic merit. It would have been almost normal if not for the tension crackling between them constantly. Every time he stood close to examine a piece she was working on, she felt hyper-aware of his presence. His scent, his body heat, the way his eyes would track her movements when he thought she wasn't looking. And she was looking, because she'd started watching him too. The way his hands moved when he explained something. The slight smile when she proved him wrong about a piece's origin. The intensity in his eyes when he looked at her. She'd read his journal. She knew he wanted her. But he hadn't touched her since that moment in the obsession room. And she was starting to realize, that was the game. He was waiting for her to make the first move. On the 4th night, Zara decided to test her theory. She dressed for dinner in one of the outfits from her closet. A silk dress that clung to her curves, showed her collarbones, ended just above her knees. She left her hair loose instead of pulled back. Wore heels instead of flats. She looked like a woman going on a date. Not a prisoner cataloging her captor's art. When she entered the dining room at 7, Tamin was already there. He looked up from his wine glass and went very still. His eyes traveled slowly from her heels up her legs, over her hips, her waist, her breasts, finally reaching her face. "You look beautiful," he said, his voice rough. "Thank you." She sat across from him, watching his reaction. "I thought I should make an effort. I've been wearing work clothes for days." "You look beautiful in work clothes too. But less distracting?" His eyes darkened. "I didn't say that. The staff served dinner. Some kind of elaborate Korean meal with multiple courses." Zara barely tasted it. She was too focused on watching Tamin, on gauging his reactions, on testing the boundaries of whatever this was between them. "Tell me something," she said halfway through the meal. "Anything." "Why me? You're a billionaire. You could have any woman you want. Why obsess over a thief you'd never met?" Tamin set down his chopsticks. He was quiet for a long moment, considering his answer. "Because you were untouchable," he said finally. "Every woman I've ever dated wanted something from me. My money. My connections. My status. But you didn't even know I existed. You were this phantom moving through the world, taking whatever you wanted, answerable to no one. You had a freedom I've never had. You're a billionaire. You have all the freedom in the world. No, I have all the money in the world. Freedom is different." He picked up his wine glass, swirling the dark liquid. "I've spent my entire life building empires, managing expectations, being who I'm supposed to be. But you're whoever you want to be. You reinvent yourself for every heist. You slip between identities like changing clothes. You're free in a way I'll never be. So you trapped me to possess my freedom? That's fucked up. I trapped you because I couldn't stop thinking about you. Because I've spent 3 years imagining what it would be like to know you, and finally I have the chance." He met her eyes across the table. "And I'm not going to waste it." The air between them felt electric. "What do you want from me?" Zara asked quietly. "Everything." "That's not an answer." "Yes, it is." He stood, moving around the table toward her. "I want to know everything about you. What you think about when you're alone. What makes you laugh. What scares you. What you dream about." He stopped beside her chair, looking down at her. "What you sound like when someone touches you the way you want to be touched." Zara's breath caught. His hand came up slowly, giving her time to move away, and touched her shoulder. His fingers traced along her collarbone, barely touching, just the lightest brush of skin on skin. "Is this okay?" he asked softly. She should say no. Should maintain boundaries. Should remember this man had stalked her, trapped her, was clearly obsessed. "Yes," she breathed. His fingers continued their path, tracing the edge of her dress's neckline. Not invasive, not pushy, just exploring. Like he was memorizing her by touch the way he'd memorized her by sight. "Your skin is so soft," he murmured. "I've wondered what you'd feel like. And better than I imagined." His hand moved to cup the back of her neck, his thumb brushing the sensitive skin below her ear. Zara's eyes fluttered closed. "Look at me," he commanded gently. She opened her eyes. He was leaning down, his face close to hers. "I'm going to kiss you," he said. "If you don't want that, say no. I'll stop immediately." Zara's heart hammered. This was wrong. Dangerous. Exactly what he wanted. "Yes," she whispered. He smiled, triumph and desire mixed together, and closed the distance. The kiss was soft at first. Exploratory. His lips brushed hers gently, testing, learning. Then his hand tightened on the back of her neck, and the kiss deepened. He tasted like wine and want. Zara's hands came up to grip his shirt, pulling him closer. The kiss turned hungry, desperate, 3 years of his obsession and 4 days of her denial crashing together. His other hand slid into her hair, angling her head to deepen the kiss further. His tongue traced her lower lip, and she opened for him, letting him in. The sound he made, part groan, part growl, sent heat straight through her body. They were devouring each other. All pretense of slow exploration gone. This was need, raw and desperate. Tamin's hand slid from her hair down her back, pulling her up from the chair until she was pressed against him, feeling every hard line of his body against her softness. "Zara," he breathed against her lips. "God, I've wanted this." A polite cough from the doorway. They sprang apart. Mrs. Choi stood there, her expression carefully neutral. "Excuse me, Mr. Kwon. You have a call from Tokyo. They say it's urgent." Tamin's jaw clenched. He looked at Zara, his eyes dark with desire and frustration. "I have to take this," he said roughly. "Of course." He leaned down and kissed her once more, hard and possessive. "We're not done." Then he left. Zara stood alone in the dining room, her lips swollen, her body thrumming with need. and realized what she'd just done. She'd kissed him back. She'd wanted him. And now he knew it. After that kiss, everything changed. Tamin stopped pretending this was a simple employer-employee relationship. His touches became frequent. A hand on her lower back as he guided her through the gallery, his fingers brushing hers when he handed her things, standing close enough that she could feel his body heat. And Zara stopped pretending she didn't like it. They fell into a new routine. Work during the day, tension building. Dinners together every night, the air thick with want. And always that push and pull of power between them. 1 week after the kiss, Zara decided to push back. She'd noticed something. Tamin was always in control. Always measured. Even when they kissed, even when she could feel how much he wanted her, he maintained that careful restraint. She wanted to break it. That evening, she wore a different dress. This one was red fitted, with a deep V that showed her cleavage. She knew it would drive him crazy. She was right. When she walked into the dining room, Tamin's glass of wine stopped halfway to his lips. His eyes went dark and hungry. "You're playing a dangerous game," he said. "Am I?" She sat down across from him, deliberately crossing her legs so the dress rode up higher on her thighs. "I thought I was just dressing for dinner." "Zara." His voice held a warning. "Yes." "What are you doing?" "Testing something." "What?" "Your control." She picked up her wine glass, taking a slow sip while maintaining eye contact. "You're always so controlled. I want to see what happens when you're not." His fingers tightened on his glass. "You don't want that." "Don't I?" She stood, walking around the table toward him. "You've spent 3 years obsessing over me. You've trapped me in your penthouse. You've kissed me. But you haven't taken what you really want." "Why?" He stood to meet her, and suddenly they were chest to chest. "Because when I finally have you," he said, his voice low and dangerous, "I want it to be your choice. Not because you're trapped here. Not because you feel you have no other option. I want you to choose me. And if I never do, then I'll have the most exquisite torture imaginable, having you close but never having you completely." His hand came up to cup her face. "But I think you will choose me. Eventually. You're very confident. I'm very patient. And I know something you haven't admitted yet." "What's that?" "You want this too." His thumb traced her lower lip. "You want me. You're just too stubborn to admit it." Zara's pulse raced. She should deny it. Should maintain some distance. Instead, she did something reckless. She closed the inches between them and kissed him. Not soft. Not exploratory. Claiming. Tamin made a sound deep in his throat and kissed her back with all the desperate hunger he'd been holding back. His hands slid into her hair, gripping hard, angling her head for better access. Zara's hands roamed over his chest, feeling the muscles beneath his expensive shirt. She wanted skin. Wanted to feel him, all of him. Her fingers moved to the buttons of his shirt. His hand caught hers, stopping her. "Not yet," he breathed against her lips. "Why not?" "Because when I finally strip you out of that dress and lay you down in my bed, I want you desperate for it. I want you begging. I want there to be no doubt that you chose this." Heat flooded through her body at his words. "How do you know I'm not already desperate?" she challenged. His hand slid from her wrist down her arm, across her ribs, settling on her hip. His fingers flexed, pulling her harder against him, so she could feel exactly how much he wanted her. "Because I know you, Zara Obi. You don't surrender easily. And when you finally do surrender to this," he rolled his hips against hers, making her gasp, "it's going to be complete." He released her and stepped back, leaving her breathless and aching. "Good night, Zara," he said, his voice rough. "Sweet dreams." He walked out, leaving her standing alone in the dining room, her body thrumming with unfulfilled need. That bastard. He was playing her just as skillfully as she'd been trying to play him. And she was losing. 2 weeks after Zara arrived at the penthouse, Tamin had a business obligation he couldn't avoid. "There's a private art viewing tonight," he said over breakfast. "Korean modern art. Several pieces I'm interested in acquiring. I need to attend." "Have fun," Zara said, buttering her toast. "I want you to come with me." She looked up sharply. "What?" "Come with me. As my curator. Your professional opinion would be valuable." "That's not why you want me there." "No," he admitted. "I want you there because I want you beside me. But the curator reason is also true. You have a better eye than anyone I know. I'm a thief. You're an art expert who chose the wrong side of the law. There's a difference." He leaned back in his chair, studying her. "Will you come?" It was a test. Would she be willing to be seen with him in public? Would she play the role of his curator, his girlfriend, in front of Seoul's art elite? "What do I get in return?" she asked. "What do you want?" "Information. About Prague. I saw it on your calendar. Why are you going back to the Dvorak estate? His expression shuddered. That's private. So is whatever this is between us. But you're asking me to go public with it tonight. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, if you come tonight, I'll tell you about Prague tomorrow. Deal. Deal. The exhibition was being held at a private gallery in Hanamdong. Seoul's art elite, collectors, dealers, critics, filled the space, champagne in hand, examining paintings by up-and-coming Korean artists. Zara wore a black dress Tamin had delivered to her room that afternoon. Designer, perfectly fitted, elegant without being flashy. She felt like she was wearing armor. Tamin's hand rested on her lower back as they entered the gallery. Possessive. Claiming. People noticed immediately. Kwon Tae-min, a man in an expensive suit, approached them. I didn't know you'd be here. And who is this? This is Zara Obi, my curator. Zara, this is Park Jin-woo, art critic for Jungong Ilbo. They shook hands. Park's eyes studied her with open curiosity. Nigerian, he asked. Yes. Your Korean is excellent. Thank you. And you're working for Tamin? How did that arrangement come about? Before Zara could answer, Tamin's hand tightened on her back. We met through mutual interests in authentication. Zara has an exceptional eye for provenance. I see. Park's smile didn't quite reach his eyes. Well, enjoy the exhibition. Tamin, we should talk about that Choi Woo-sik piece you're interested in. As Park moved away, Zara whispered, he doesn't believe that story. He doesn't have to believe it. He just has to print it. Tamin guided her toward the paintings. Come on. Let's see if any of these are worth acquiring. They moved through the gallery, Tamin introducing her to various collectors and dealers. Each time, his hand remained on her back, his body angled toward her protectively. He was claiming her publicly, making sure everyone in Seoul's art world knew she was his. And Zara didn't hate it. Halfway through the evening, they were examining a large abstract painting when a woman's voice cut through the gallery noise. Tamin, I didn't expect to see you here. They turned. A woman stood there, beautiful in that precise Seoul way. Perfect makeup, designer everything, sculpted body. She looked at Tamin with familiarity, then at Zara with poorly concealed disdain. Ji-hyun, Tamin said coolly. This is unexpected. I'm covering the exhibition for Art Asia magazine. Her eyes swept over Zara dismissively. And you are? Zara Obi, Tamin's curator. Curator. How professional. Ji-hyun's smile was sharp. Tamin and I used to date. 2 years ago. Before he became so reclusive. We dated for 3 months, Tamin corrected. It didn't work out. Because you couldn't commit to anything except your art collection. Ji-hyun's attention returned to Zara. Has he shown you his obsession room yet? The one where he keeps things he's fixated on? I found it incredibly disturbing. Zara felt Tamin tense beside her. Actually, Zara said smoothly, he has shown me. I found it fascinating. The dedication to understanding what you truly want is rare. Most people are too cowardly to pursue their desires that completely. Ji-hyun's eyes narrowed. You approve of stalking? I approve of honesty. He's never pretended to be anything other than what he is. A collector who knows exactly what he wants and doesn't apologize for it. Zara stepped closer to Tamin, her hand coming to rest on his chest in a clearly possessive gesture. Unlike people who pretend they don't care when someone chooses to move on. Ji-hyun's face flushed. You're fucking the help. How predictable. You're bitter someone moved on. How tedious. Zara's smile was all teeth. Enjoy the exhibition, Ji-hyun. I'm sure your article will be very professional. She turned away, effectively dismissing the other woman. Tamin's hand slid around her waist, pulling her close. That was impressive, he murmured in her ear. She was annoying. You defended me. I defended my position. There's a difference. But there wasn't. Not really. She'd claimed him just as publicly as he'd been claiming her all night. The power dynamic had shifted again. And they both knew it. The next morning, Tamin kept his promise. He found her in the gallery workspace and said simply, "Come with me." He led her to the obsession room. It felt different now, less creepy, more intimate, like she was being allowed into his most private space. He sat on the bench where she'd sat that first day, and gestured for her to join him. You wanted to know about Prague, he said. Yes. He was quiet for a moment, gathering his thoughts. 3 years ago, I was in a very dark place, he began. My company had just gone public. I'd made more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. Everyone wanted something from me, investors, women, family. I felt like I was drowning in expectations and obligations. He looked at the photographs of her on the walls. I went to Prague to escape, to remind myself why I loved art in the first place. I was at the Dvorak estate, examining their Klimt collection, when I heard the alarm. I watched from the window as their security scrambled. And then I saw you. His voice softened. You were coming out of the east wing, moving through the shadows like you were made of smoke. You didn't run. You didn't panic. You just disappeared. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. This perfect crime, executed flawlessly right in front of me. And you fell in love with a thief, Zara said. No. I fell in fascination with freedom. You were everything I wasn't, unbound, unapologetic, answerable to no one. I followed you to a cafe. Watched you sit alone, completely at peace. And I thought, I want to feel that. I want to know what it's like to be that free. He turned to face her. I started following your heists. Learning about you. Building this collection. And somewhere along the way, fascination became obsession. I didn't just want to watch you anymore. I wanted to know you. I wanted you to see me the way I was seeing you. That's why you're going back to Prague. Yes. The Dvorak estate is selling that Klimt. The one you originally stole. It resurfaced 2 years ago through a private dealer. I'm going to buy it. Why? Because it's where you became real to me. Where you stopped being just another person in my life and became the person. His hand came up to cup her face. I'm going to buy the painting you stole, Zara. And I'm going to hang it in my bedroom. And every time I look at it, I'm going to remember the moment I fell for you. Zara's breath caught. You're insane. Probably. Does that bother you? It should. But does it? She couldn't answer. Because the truth was, it didn't bother her as much as it should. This man's obsession, his complete focus on her, made her feel seen in a way she'd never been seen before. Come with me, he said suddenly. Where? To Prague. Next week. Come with me when I buy that painting. Let me show you where it started. That's crazy. Is it? You're stuck here for a year anyway. At least this way you get to travel. See the world. And, he leaned closer. Spend a weekend in Prague with a man who's been obsessed with you for 3 years. Could be interesting. His lips were inches from hers. Say yes, Zara. She should say no. Should maintain boundaries. Should remember this was all kinds of fucked up. Yes, she breathed. He closed the distance and kissed her. This kiss was different. Softer. More tender. Like he was thanking her for something. When he pulled back, his eyes were dark with emotion. 3 more days, he said. Then we go to Prague. And Zara? Yes. Bring something nice to wear. I'm taking you to dinner. A real date. Not dinner in a prison. We're in Seoul. Prague isn't Seoul. In Prague, you're my girlfriend, not my captive curator. At least for the weekend. He stood and offered his hand. Zara took it, letting him pull her to her feet. And as they stood there, hands clasped, surrounded by his 3-year obsession with her, she realized something terrifying. She was falling for her captor. But that night, while Tamin was asleep, Zara found something. Hidden in the back of his closet, behind the expensive suits and silk ties, was another journal. Older than the one she'd read before. She opened it to the first page and her blood ran cold. Because the first entry was from 5 years ago. Not 3. 5. And it was about her. About a heist she didn't remember. In a city she didn't remember visiting. The entry read, I found her today. Finally. After 2 years of searching. She doesn't remember Lagos. Doesn't remember that night at the museum. Doesn't remember me. But I remember. I remember everything. And now I know who she really is. Now I know her secret. And I'm going to use it to make her mine. No matter what it takes. Lagos. What happened in Lagos? What didn't she remember? And why was Tamin's obsession 2 years older than he'd claimed? Zara's hands shook as she flipped through the journal, looking for answers. But before she could read more, she heard footsteps in the hallway. Coming closer. She shoved the journal back into its hiding place, and barely made it to the bed before the door opened. Tamin stood in the doorway, his expression unreadable. Couldn't sleep? He asked softly. No, Zara lied, her heart pounding. Just restless. He moved into the room, and in the dim light his face looked different. Dangerous. Zara, he said quietly. What were you doing in my closet? She'd been caught. Again. Besties, I need you to comment right now. Because Zara just discovered something that changes everything. Tamin's obsession is older than he said. There's a Lagos connection she doesn't remember. And he knows something about her that she doesn't know about herself. Comment Lagos if you need to know what happened. Comment run if you think she should escape while she can. Comment stay if you think she should confront him and demand the truth. Because whatever happened in Lagos 5 years ago, it's the real reason he trapped her. It's the secret he's been keeping. And it's about to explode everything they've built. This is Afro-K Dark Diaries TV, and that was part 1 of the debt collector's obsession. Part 2 is coming. And it's going to reveal the truth about Lagos, about Zara's missing memories, about why Tamin didn't just want her, he needed her. Subscribe right now if you can't breathe after that ending. Share this if you're screaming at your screen. Like if you need part 2 immediately. Because the obsession? It's deeper than we thought. And the real story? It hasn't even started yet. To be continued.